Welcome to RFG Pocket Episode 1, featuring Detective Pikachu.
Hello everyone, and welcome to the Region Free Gamers Podcast, the podcast that's fluent in gaming. With me today are my handsome co-hosts. To the south of me, out of Virginia, by way of Puerto Rico, Arnaldo.
Yo, what's up?
To the east of me, out of New York, by way of Cuba, Ozzy.
How's it going, guys?
And to the north of me, out of Helsinki, by way of Helsinki, Masa.
Hey yo.
And I'm Paul. I'm in Canada. I like video games. Today, we're going to do a tiny episode. We're going to talk about the Nintendo Direct announcement that everybody seems to be talking about. Nintendo announcing a bunch of new games for the Switch and a surprising amount of games for the 3DS. I'm going to defer here to my co-host Masa, who is the Nintendo fan. Masa, anything there that you're really excited about?
Yeah, plenty of things actually. Okay, so we should probably leave the biggest announcement of the Direct for last, because I think that's something that we will discuss quite a bit. But outside of that, I would say it was interesting in a way that, yeah, like you mentioned, surprisingly many 3DS titles. I wouldn't say that any of these are really that surprising or mind-blowing. But there was something interesting. For example, Luigi's Mansion. I guess I'm not sure if you could call it a remake or a remaster in this case, because it is the GameCube game. But that does seem yeah, quite interesting. And I'm wondering if Nintendo will bring like more of these GameCube and Wii era games to both the 3DS and the Switch.
I'd love to see a bunch of those myself. I mean, the Luigi's Mansion, I can only assume it's because they already kind of have the programming architecture built, because they had the sequel for the 3DS,
yeah, exactly.
right?
Yeah, makes sense, yeah.
Well, I feel like Luigi's Mansion was a game that back when it came out on the GameCube as a launch title, I mean, I distinctly remember that time. Everyone was so pissed off that you didn't have a traditional Mario game. And they were just like, what the hell am I doing playing as Luigi in this kind of haunted mansion type style? So I think because of that, and also the fact that it wasn't a very long game, it really was not appreciated at the time. And even though a lot of people owned it, I don't think a lot of people gave it the light of day. So I'm kind of glad when Dark Moon came out, I think there was a reassessment of Luigi's Mansion as a series. And I mean, I've played Dark Moon, and I think that it's a very charming game. I mean, there's so much character to that game. I've never played the original one on the GameCube, so I think that's a good opportunity for me and other folks that did not really get to play it. The GameCube, I'm going to say, it's one of my favorite consoles of all time, to be honest. I think it's a very underrated console, and it's really unfortunate because I think it was the last console that Nintendo had that was very powerful. People tend to forget how powerful the GameCube was compared to the PS2. It's funny because the PS2, with the Emotion Engine and all that hype that surrounded it back when it was about to be released in 2000, and people were talking about it potentially being able to launch nuclear weapons, and you know, what if terrorists got their hands on it? I mean, this was really a conversation that was being had.
Yeah.
So, but you know how little we knew back then. But eventually, the PS2, when the Xbox and the original Xbox and the GameCube came out, it ended up being the most underpowered console out of the three. And the GameCube was just such an original, quirky console. The fact that it had a handle and it catered to a very specific Nintendo audience.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I really appreciate it because a lot of interesting series came out of that console. The Prime series comes to mind, which was just a fantastic series. And it was just so original from everything that was being done at the time, even in the FPS field. So I'm really excited that some of these GameCube games are being ported. I know Wind Waker and Twilight Princess, those were ported for the Wii U. So I'm really excited about other games from the GameCube era being ported, and I'm really excited about playing Luigi's Mansion on the 3DS.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say like I understand why people were disappointed about the announcement because like the problem here is that yeah, people do want to see HD remasters of all these like Wii and GameCube classics. They don't really want to see these on the 3DS.
Yeah, I mean, and I feel like probably the Wii would benefit a lot more from remasters because it was a standard definition console in an HD era. So I feel like a lot of the games really were not able to fulfill their potential because of that standard definition holding it back. So I really do want to see Nintendo focusing in the future with some of the Wii era games. I mean, I would love, for example, the Fire Emblem that came out for the Wii. If they could remake that at some point, that would be fantastic because
That's a license to print money. Releasing
yeah,
that game for the Switch. Come on.
Yeah.
yeah, or the 3DS even. I mean, you don't even have to go that far. They could probably port it to the 3DS pretty easily. I think the 3DS is probably not that much less powerful than the Wii itself. So it should be interesting. But Nintendo has such a huge back catalog that they could really do a lot in terms of just bringing back old games into new consoles, especially on the Switch, because the Switch, you could pretty much bring anything on the Switch and people will buy it because it's just a new way to play games. And nowadays, I just want everything to be on the Switch because I want to play stuff on my bed. And if I want to play it on the big screen, I will play it on the big screen. So, anyways.
Yeah. No, that's 100% the reason to own and play games on the Switch. It's such a it's such a clever little console. I almost find it annoying that it's so clever and we didn't have something like this sooner. It really should have happened, but I mean, whatever. I'm not a hardware architecture guy, so presumably if they could have done this sooner, they would have. But I'm going to move on to some of the other games on the list here. Anybody have anything to say about Captain Toad?
Absolutely.
Adorable.
Masa's like, I just wanted my chance to talk about this for one time.
All right, motherfuckers.
All right, tell me about
it's Captain Toad time.
Yeah, but yeah, that was absolutely like one of the actually like one of the best Wii U games, and I feel like it's like such a hidden gem. Like I don't think enough people like played that game, and there's actually like more like intensive to to go back to this game because yeah, I mean they added those Mario Odyssey inspired levels. So it makes, even if you have played the Wii U version, I think it makes sense to get it well either on the Switch or the 3DS, whatever console you have. And it's definitely like one of those. It's a very unique game because I have never played anything like that before. And okay, so I'm not a big fan of like puzzle games or puzzle action platforming games. I'm not sure what you should even call Captain Toad. But it's definitely a game that I mean I'm really happy. Like that was, I kind of thought that would be a well actually no, it actually makes sense that it's coming because I mean in Odyssey you did have Captain Toad, so that was already kind of a hint that Captain Toad would be coming over to the Switch at some point. Of course I would have preferred a sequel, but I mean, yeah, sure. If there's new content, I mean, I'm gonna be there day one.
Well,
I have a hard time with it only because I saw Captain Toad Treasure Tracker with the amiibo. I've seen it on sale at Walmart for $10 for like the past 3 months.
Yeah.
And I didn't bite because, you know, the box is fairly large and I didn't really have too much interest in the game itself and storage space. So I understand, like, I don't know, I have a problem seeing stuff for $10 and not buying it. It's like, oh my god, it's $10. So now we're gonna have this Captain Toad Switch game that's probably gonna be full price, and all I'm gonna have in my head is the image of Captain Toad with the amiibo at Walmart for $10 forever, and nobody buying it.
Well, Paul, I have a similar experience because I know Nintendo was actually selling it on eBay for $20 when it was originally supposed to be, I think, like at least $40. And I just don't think the game sold that well. I think that's why it was so cheap. And
also they did release a Nintendo Select version of it.
Okay. And I think Nintendo's in this weird spot right now where the only cutesy, adorable games that really sell have to kind of be Mario branded, like, you know, any of the Mario games or even Yoshi. but I think most gamers really kind of passed Captain Toad. I mean, maybe they just dismissed it as, oh, this is just too cute for me. So I don't really know if Nintendo can really succeed anymore with bringing out a property that's just purely kind of adorable without the Mario kind of presence. So I don't know.
I'm curious myself. I mean, if Masa says it's good, then I'm at least curious to see what it looks like. Well,
Yeah,
I guess
I mean-
hopefully on the Switch it'll breathe some new life into it, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah,
Yep.
I think that, Captain Toad has always appealed to me just because of the puzzly nature of it. I think this version looks amazing. I will say that I'm tired. I have a problem with Nintendo lying to people about their games being two-player. Because I don't know if you guys saw it, but in the Direct, it says, and you can play with your friends. And it's like, one of you controls Captain Toad and does all the cool shit, and the other guy gets to throw turnips at things.
Oh yeah.
And it's like the
Yeah,
same thing. They did the same thing with Mario Galaxy, where it was like, yeah, you can totally play two-player. One of you is Mario and does everything and has fun, and the other person collects star bits for them.
Yeah, I mean, it's Odyssey is the same thing. Like, it's like, well, one of you is Mario and the other person is Cappy. But yeah, and in Captain Toad, it doesn't even make sense because I mean, you have Toad and then you have Toadette. So I mean,
Yeah.
you could easily like have them both.
Well, can we talk about Mario Tennis? Because I kind of have an issue with this because
It's not next on my list, Ozzy, but it's okay. We'll just talk about whatever you want.
I'm sorry, Paul. Well, I just kind of had to get this off my chest. I want Nintendo to bring back the sports RPG because Mario Tennis and Mario Golf on the Game Boy Color was made by Camelot. And
Yeah.
Camelot, if you remember, was the team that made the Shining Force games.
And Golden
And
Sun.
so, and Golden Sun. And they didn't have much interest, I think, in sports, so they added a full RPG to those games. And I don't know, at some point in the GameCube era, just Nintendo just stopped putting the RPG. And we've seen right now, Golf Story was basically a homage to the Mario Golf games. And I just want Nintendo to bring back an RPG in the Mario Tennis or Mario Golf franchise. So,
I have to mention this, but like Mario Tennis Aces is supposed to have a story mode.
oh, is it?
Yeah,
Oh, wonderful.
Will I be able to level up?
I'm not sure if it works as an
Because if
RPG.
I can't level up, then I'm not interested.
So we'll see. I mean, I haven't bought a Mario sports game in a while. I think they've just kind of been meandering for a while. But it's interesting. If it does have a story, Masa, as you say, hopefully, as Paul says, you can level up. So
If it does, then honestly, it's an auto buy because the Mario Tennis games I think are the best Mario sports games out there, and just as standalone sports games, they are absolutely fantastic. I have all day for Mario Tennis, and boy, that like the Mario Advance Golf, slash RPG for the Game Boy Advance. I just said those words.
Yeah.
I played the crap out of that thing, man. Those RPG modes, like they really just make the game. I couldn't agree with you more, Ozzy.
well, I mean, it allows for a lot of gamers that do not really care for sports to actually become invested in the game.
Yeah.
That's one of the things that I've seen with sports games, that little by little they've started adding more story and more RPG elements, and now basically all headlining sports games have an RPG mode. Madden has one. I know the MLB game right now is gonna have one, and it makes perfect sense because if you're playing a sports game, you are kind of leveling up your character. You are getting better. If you go to the batting cages, then you're basically leveling up. You're getting experience. So it makes perfect sense, and I think that's what you need in order to really get invested as a gamer. I know that my favorite fighting games are the ones where you have a really in-depth story, which is why I'm partial to kind of like the Mortal Kombat games, because they've always done good narrative in terms of their fighting games. So I'm all in for more sports games having RPG storylines.
But yeah, I would say,
All
as one of the 5 people who actually bought the Wii U Mario Tennis game, which was, I mean, it was just a quick cash grab. Like it was like so bare bones, barely included any modes. I played like maybe a couple of times with my friends, and now it's just not cheating, but sitting on my shelf.
Yeah.
But yeah, but that's why even with like I like it that Nintendo is again putting more effort into the Switch game. It looks better. It seems more exciting, and of course there's gonna be the story mode. And also what I like is that they are really pushing the online multiplayer aspect of the game, as they already announced the tournament for it. So it's not definitely not a a day one purchase for me, but I could see myself getting it down the line, especially like if it drops like if it actually gets a healthy player base. Because I mean, if there's again like 10 people playing the game, then I mean the online game doesn't really matter at that point anymore.
All right, do we have any thoughts about South Park?
Looking forward to it. Want to play it on the go.
I played the first one, beat it. I'm okay with it. I don't need to play it. So,
it is kind of hard to get up for South Park. I mean, it's already been released, but hey, if you don't own it, and I don't personally, so now that it's been announced for the Switch, I don't mind waiting a bit longer. I'll wait for the Switch version to come out, and then I'll wait a little bit longer for the inevitable price drop on it, and I think that's when I'll pick it up. But I mean, it's obviously an easy decision as far as game purchases go. Yeah. Really, it's just a matter of when, not if.
Yeah, and I mean, it really, that's what a lot of these sort of Switch ports come down to, I think, is like, do you have it? If not, do you want to play it on the go? If yes, buy the Switch version.
Yeah, I like this flowchart that you're that you're painting for me.
That's my decision chart for every single game release. Is like, do I have it? Is it on the Switch? Do I want to play it on the go?
Well, that decision would be a lot easier if it wasn't at times more expensive to buy it on the Switch.
That is true.
But ultimately, I think if it's on the Switch, it's my preferred mode of that's where I'm going to play it. That's just basically.
But yeah, what I like about these third-party Switch games is that they actually do come down in price. When you have all these first-party games, Breath of the Wild came out a year ago, it's still full price. But then I noticed, for example, Mario Rabbids, which is a Ubisoft game, that's already down to like 35 euros here. And I know that I'm probably not going to get South Park, the fractured butthole, right away. But yeah,
you pronounced that wrong, Masa. You pronounced that wrong. The fractured butthole. So
that's a game that I've been wanting to get for the PS4, but now I mean the Switch is my preferred console. So yeah, I'm probably gonna wait for a little while. I mean, sure, if it's a 40-euro game at launch, then yeah, I'll be more than happy to pay 40 for that. But if it's like 60 to 70, then yeah, I'm just gonna wait.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing you can say about South Park is that it shows not only that Nintendo is sort of more open to more mature content on their platform, but that third-party developers are saying, this is definitely the system we want our games on, regardless of age range or, sort of regardless of content. Which I think is big. I think it's going to lead to more. It's going to lead more developers to see these sorts of titles coming out and think, I can put my game on Switch no matter what, is in it.
Well, I was
at the moment there's the.
I was listening to a Retronauts episode 2 days ago, and they were interviewing limited run games, and a lot of the games that they had put out were for Vita and for PS4, and now they just recently started releasing games for the Switch, and they were talking about how easy the infrastructure to develop games is for the Switch, that it's very intuitive, it's very easy for developers to just plop their games into the Switch, which was not the case with the Wii U. So I think that accessibility for developers is really critical in attracting third parties, and Nintendo traditionally was their certification process and the like, and the approval process was just not very easy. So they just made life hell for third parties. So they were just thinking, well, why bother? And with something like the Wii U, where the install base was just not there, I mean, it was kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy. There aren't third parties because there aren't enough gamers, and there aren't enough gamers because there aren't enough third parties. So it was kind of a vicious cycle there, whereas with the Switch, you already have a good install base, and you already have the infrastructure to attract third-party developers. So I do think that this time it's going to be different for the Switch. So I'm sorry.
And also, the thing that and I'm quite sure that all these like developers are aware of this, but the Switch install base is actually it's actually older than usually. Like I think the most of the Switch owners at this point, they are men in their 20s. It's not like, I think the families are still, they are buying 3DSs and playing 3DS games, but a lot of like, I mean, it's the console for us basically. And
No,
I'm sure that
it's a
at some
perfect.
point, yeah, and I mean,
It's a,
I'm sure that at some point they will do the price drop, and they will move away from the 3DS, and that's like when the families will get into the Switch craze. But at the moment, yeah, I mean, it would make sense to get more games like South Park and Dark Souls and Bayonetta on the system, because there's a lot of people who want to play that like more mature games on the system.
it's really a perfect second console. If you have the PS4 or even the Xbox One, the Switch is just so accessible that you can even have the same games in both consoles, and buying it on the Switch is worthwhile just because you're able to just have that portability that wasn't there before. And I've taken it on trips and the like, and the battery life is very good. So it's a very very well made device. I think Nintendo hit it out of the park with it.
I think I'd call the battery life good enough. It's
Yeah,
not. I wouldn't say it's great, but I don't know. When am I going to be playing a game for over 3 hours other than on an
on a,
airplane
yeah.
anyway?
Mm-hmm.
Moving on. Anybody have any thoughts about the announced Splatoon 2 update? I hear nothing but tumbleweeds, so
Yeah.
I'll just throw in my
No,
two
no, no.
Not
cents.
Let's
a
talk about
Splatoon
it, because
guy.
no, no. I was like, yeah, let's let you guys talk about it first. But yeah, like when that announcement trailer started, I was like, wait, what is this? Wait, is it gonna be Splatoon 3 or something? But yeah, I was very surprised that they would do a single player DLC campaign. So far, all the Splatoon DLC has been free, and it's all about the multiplayer.
Mm.
But for example, my girlfriend, who's basically a Splatoon monster at this point, she's constantly playing that game, and she
Awesome.
pre-ordered the DLC right away. I'm a bit like, I did enjoy the single player campaign in Splatoon 2. I thought it was like the levels were very well made and creative and fun. But here I'm a bit like, I think if I wanna play it, I'm just gonna borrow my girlfriend's Switch and play it. Like I'm not like rushing to buy the DLC, but it does seem, I don't know. It's nice that they are actually like bring like more single player content to the
Mm.
game.
Yeah, for me in Splatoon 2, it's just two things. One, it might be the best game I own that I hardly play anymore. I was really into it at first, and it's a lot of fun, and it's very quick and very easy to pick up and play. It's really well designed. I really like it. And I like the fact that the DLC is single player only. I don't like multiplayer DLC where you have to buy something in order to be competitive, or you have to buy stuff in order to play what everybody else is playing. Like I have no time for that. If I see that, it's like, all right, I have dozens of other games I can play, so I'm not gonna bother playing this game that I'm getting locked out of. But DLC for single player, perfect. Release those all day long. I personally
Mm-hmm.
have no interest in them, but I understand that other people do, and this way you're not alienating your current online user base
Mm-hmm.
and still making a little bit of extra money off this property. All right, moving on. What do we think about Octopath Traveler? The release date was announced. I mean, this was already kind of a known game.
Yeah.
Any
I'm
thoughts on
I'm
that one?
I'm glad that you brought that up because that's exactly the game I wanted to talk about right now. So, it's probably the most exciting game I'm looking forward to in the Switch. It really takes a lot of inspiration from the old school Square RPGs from the 16 and 32-bit era. And if you haven't listened to our RPG episode, please make sure to do that. It was a wonderful episode, and we're very
I
proud
thought
of
it was great personally, but
it. So,
The best
Octopath,
episode ever.
Octopath Traveler takes a lot of inspiration from like Saga Frontier, and I really want to see more games like this made by Square. I know that Lost Sphere and I Am Setsuna were some of the more recent games that Square released, kind of like harkening back to the old school RPGs of the 90s. But I think Octopath Traveler looks so damn beautiful. It just looks so well drawn, and the animation and the style is just so fantastic. And the idea of playing with different characters and having different stories, again, that harkens back to Saga Frontier, which I think like all of 5 people played. Or maybe no, let me rephrase that. A bunch of people bought it because it was after Final Fantasy VII, and then they realized what they had on their hands, and they were like, "What the fuck is this?" And then
Why does this game hate me?
And then they never played it again. But in any case, I'm really looking forward to this game. I really want Square to make more games like this. So even if it's not great, people, please buy it so that Square can make more games like this. So you can keep financing these games. I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, hot off the heels of our last episode, I mean, this game looks beautiful. It's, you know, it's pretty much what I would want in a sort of Switch RPG. You know, the old school graphics, the compelling stories, the interesting looking characters. I'm looking forward to it. I don't currently have a Switch, but this is one that's making me reconsider that decision.
Well, you should feel terrible about yourself, Arnie. So, just from now on, every paycheck that you get, you're gonna have to set up a Switch fund. So
Actually, no. You know what we can do? Like, we asked people to send me PS1 RPGs. Maybe we can, maybe we can start a Patreon page just so Arnie could get a Switch.
It's all in good. It's all in a good will. It's all in goodwill. We need it for our job. Arnie needs it in order to do his job. So just fund region-free gamers by getting a Switch for Arnie. That's what you need to do.
On a scale of 1 to 100, what do you think the odds are that we could get Nintendo to actually send Arnaldo a Switch? Like maybe a 5?
Yeah,
we could
1.
try it. Maybe I would say 9. Maybe 10. 17 maybe.
Any thoughts on Undertale?
Wait, like I haven't even talked about Octopath Traveler yet.
Please talk about Octopath Traveler, Masa.
It's over, Masa.
And this will be like the rest of the episode. But yeah, that little game, I feel like when they had the Switch, like the big conference, the big event last year, that was the third-party game that I feel like really stole the show. That got a lot of hype already, and I'm really loving it that they are actually like probably promoting that game. And yeah, we got the demo quite early on, and I actually love it when they do this kind of demos, as opposed to the ones where you have like, hey, here's the first level of the game played.
Yes.
But here they are gathering like feedback from the players. And they even released a video about it, how they have already like implemented all these like little things that people wanted to change, and the game, yeah, it looks amazing. And I actually can't believe that we haven't really gotten like that, like modern games with like that kind of art style. It's brilliant. It looks amazing. Based on the demo, the music is also very good, and it's also really interesting. Like one thing, like nowadays we are like really used to having fully voiced games, or at least like voiced games. But when it comes to like old school style games, they are very rarely voiced. And hearing voice acting in a retro style game like Octopath Traveler, it's very different. It like when I was playing the demo, it definitely like was like, yeah, this feels a bit wrong, but like once you get used to it, then yeah, I mean, it's nice. Yeah,
That's a very interesting take. I never even considered that. For me personally, voice acting in an RPG is kind of I don't really care either way. Sometimes it's nice to have it, sometimes it's nice not to, because the game moves along more quickly.
Yeah.
But I think it'll be very interesting with Octopath Traveler regardless. I think it looks great. I don't know if it's a day one purchase for me. I do love my RPGs, but I mean, the backlog obviously is gigantic, right? So a day one purchase has to be something that I'm personally like extremely excited for. So Undertale, guys, any thoughts? Have
Yeah,
any of us played Undertale?
I started playing Undertale, and it's really kind of an Earthbound homage mixed with like bullet hell shooter. So I think you'd be into it, Paul.
I've played it. I played it honestly for like 10 minutes, and that's not to say that it was bad. I found it intriguing. It's just one of those games that I played for 10 minutes, and then I probably got a phone call or something, and then just forgot it existed.
Yeah, that was exactly my same experience. I played it for like an hour, and I don't know. I mean, it just kind of there was so much hype by the time that I played it that when I played it, maybe I need to stick with it in order to really see it for what it is. But
yeah,
it just didn't grip me. I was just like, eh. And at some point, I mean, maybe this is messed up, but just the fan adoration with it just kind of irked me so much that I was just like, oh, God, to the point that it's grating, where people are like, oh, this is the best thing since sliced bread. And at some point you play it and you're like, well, sliced bread is still pretty awesome.
Dude, how do you beat sliced bread, honestly?
Yeah. So I played it, and I'm pretty sure that this is going to be a wonderful game for the Switch. I'm pretty sure that this is when it came out on the Vita, it was really, really awesome because you were able to take it on the go, and I feel like the Switch is just a continuation of that. But I don't know. I don't really care. I'm pretty sure a lot of people will be into it, and I'm pretty sure the whole Undertale fan base is gonna fall head over heels for it. But
I enjoyed that take that you just had there. Undertale, I don't really care. Do we have any thoughts on? Oh, sorry, Masa. Did you have something to say about it?
Yeah, that's a game that I've been looking forward to. But I always felt like that it wouldn't be like I wouldn't want to play it on the PS4. Like it's not the kind of game that I actually want to play on TV. And I was hoping that it would come over to the Switch. But yeah, it is true, like what Ozzy said, that the whole hype can be a bit off-putting. Especially like a lot of people have been saying that it's one of the best games ever. Okay, I have not played it, but I definitely have my doubts still. But I am picking it up for the Switch, and because I love Earthbound, and we haven't really gotten like that kind of games in a while.
Yes.
So I'm definitely looking forward to playing it.
Yeah, I haven't played it. I have seen playthroughs of it, so I know what the story is, and it's interesting. I could definitely see myself playing it and enjoying it, but it's not a game that for some reason or another I'm just not trying to acquire right now.
Yeah, no, fair enough, man. I mean, when I got it on Steam, and I think it was like something silly, like $2, right? It's one of the Steam sales. So for me, it was not a big deal. It was like buying a pack of gum. But in any case, any thoughts on Crash Bandicoot?
Yes.
Please share.
How is this not a bigger deal?
Is that you, Masa?
I feel like when I saw it on the Direct, I felt like it was like such a like flat segue to like, and here's this thing. And for me, it was insane because, I mean, let's not forget that Crash Bandicoot was the mascot who like showed up at Nintendo headquarters with like,
hey, Plumber Boy. Hey,
and,
come on, Plumber Boy.
Was talking
wow,
mad shit.
I completely forgot about that.
And so to me, like seeing that era Crash Bandicoot on a Nintendo console is mind-boggling. But no, I mean, it looks great. I'm sure it's the same. It's going to be the same level of quality as the past releases of the Insane trilogy. So I'm really looking forward to it because if you look at my flowchart, it's do I own this game? No. Do I want to play it on the go? Yes. So Crash Bandicoot on Switch is the optimal format for me, at least.
Well,
yeah, dude, I couldn't agree with you more. I'm a little bit surprised that it wasn't a bigger deal because I remember when Sonic a Sonic game was first released on a Nintendo console. It was like, I wouldn't say it was like the world was ending, but there was definitely more chatter. And meanwhile, Crash just kind of shows up on the Switch, and it's just a footnote. I find it a little kind of bizarre.
Yeah.
Well, it's been 20 years, Paul.
Yeah, but I hold grudges, Ozzy.
It's been a while. But can we just say that we can admit that Mario won that fight? Because honestly, he's still the only mascot that hasn't shown up on another console. Meanwhile, Sonic is just kind of like everywhere.
Oh, dude, Sonic is like the prostitute of mascots right now.
I mean, the other reason I'm really excited for this is because I'm assuming that this is the first step to Mario and Crash Bandicoot at the 2020 Olympic Games, which I am like dying to play. That's like number one on my want list.
My gut reaction was a very surprising amount of excitement when you mentioned that possibility. I was like, oh my god, that sounds great, and then I was like, oh my god, why am I so excited?
Well, guys, can we talk about WarioWare? Because
absolutely.
I'm really excited that this was announced.
Yes.
Because the WarioWare games were some of the quirkiest, most fun games to come out of the mid 2000s period of Nintendo, where they were just going off the wall with innovative games. Everything they seemed to put out back then was just some kind of quirky take on their old franchises. You know, you had like Donkey Konga, or you even had like really quirky games like Odama. Did you guys remember that game where?
Yeah, the RTS / pinball game.
Yeah.
I've been wanting to play that one for such
Yeah,
a
with
long
the
time.
microphone
It didn't get good reviews, but like it just sounds like such a bizarre concept.
Yeah.
I'm drawn to it.
Everything they did was just quirky, but WarioWare, what I am hoping for is that this is the opening shot into a new Wario Land game. Because
please.
Wario Land games, they're my favorite platformers, and then from Nintendo. Actually, not even from Nintendo. They're just my favorite platforms, flat out. They were just such a great, well-made franchise, and all the games from the first one to Wario Land 4, which was on the Advance, had such a distinct evolution to the point that at the end they were just kind of Metroidvania games, really. And
Yeah.
the idea of having your character be immortal, and using various ways to basically kill the character. So you put him on fire, and that was basically like a power-up. Or he became a zombie, and that was something that you had to deal with. It was just such an innovative, great take. And I know they came out with Wario Land Shake It for the Wii, and that game looked absolutely beautiful. I never got around to playing it because it didn't get great reviews, but I do hope that Nintendo at some point brings back the Wario Land games, and I think the Switch is a perfect system for that. The mixture of console and handheld, I think it makes it a perfect time to come back with a Wario Land game. So I really do hope that this is the opening salvo for Wario making his big return.
Yeah, fully agree. Super excited about WarioWare. I've loved every single game they've put out in the series, so I'm dying to play this. And I want to make quick mention, because I don't see it on this list I have in front of me, but my personal favorite game they dropped on the Nintendo Direct, and I feel like it should have been a bigger deal. Detective Pikachu is going to be fucking great.
But yeah, it's probably like, but it's
so
coming
well.
out like so soon that I'm not sure if it's like worth talking about.
I'm so about it though.
I don't know what to say about that.
When I saw that preview, I was like, this is everything I've ever wanted that I didn't even know I wanted.
I only saw a picture of Pikachu with like a detective hat on, and he had a speech, like a speech bubble underneath him. Look, I'm not a Pokemon guy. I was when Pokemon was released and when it was huge, I was working at a video game store, and thus my job every day was to herd children around the store as they purchased Pokemon and Pokemon merchandise. So I don't have the fondness for it that many other people do.
Yeah.
The Pikachu with the detective hat on was so absurd that I couldn't help but be intrigued.
Here's the thing about it is, like, you see the trailer, and it's essentially a buddy cop movie starring like an old washed up Pikachu. And I love it. Like, at one point he's straight up just like, here's my quick attack, and he like walks and he's like, he can barely move, he's like hyperventilating, and he's like, how was that? And I loved it. It was great.
Well, they're making a movie
that's gonna
now.
be a live action movie too.
Yeah, and I hear that Ryan Reynolds is gonna be the voice of Pikachu. Which
Ozzy, are you serious?
Yeah.
I'm fucking serious.
Oh my god.
See, I'm not
Paul
about
is like,
that.
what the
I
fuck?
Agree. I think I saw somebody comment this, and I think it'd be perfect if Danny DeVito was the voice of Pikachu. That I think would be The perfect casting.
Well, I love this new ad campaign for M&M's where Danny DeVito turns into the red M&M, like the red M&M turns into the Danny DeVito, and I'm like, I love this because you can put Danny DeVito on anything and it would be amazing.
Oh, absolutely.
Boy, he really has reached that point, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Are you saying you're a real detective?
I'm not just a detective. I'm a great detective. Detective Pikachu. Bolt of brilliance.
Yeah, I think
But anyway,
so.
well, to be fair, Danny DeVito was not on Nintendo Direct, so we should probably steer the ship back
Yeah.
on course here.
All right.
Any thoughts on, let's see here, Sushi Striker? I just had a quick glimpse of it. I didn't really know what to think.
Actually, can we go back to Wario?
We totally can do that, Masa.
Yeah, because I'm actually I just can't get excited for these WarioWare games. As much as I love mini games, but the mini games in WarioWare games are a bit too mini. Like
They're micro games. They're micro
yeah, I mean
games.
it's like 2 seconds and it's over.
That's
so...
awesome. That's what I love about them.
Dude, that's everything in my life right now. Just ask my wife.
Listen, Masa, when you have kids, you're gonna appreciate this a lot more.
Indeed. But yeah, like what Ozzy said, like I would absolutely love to see like a new Wario Land game. Even on the 3DS, like I mean, those games they don't have to be in HD. Like I just want a new Wario Land game because they are absolutely like some of the best Nintendo platformers, and that's saying a lot because Nintendo is like the greatest platformer developer of all time. So yeah, absolutely
Yeah, no
like
doubt about that.
yeah, like WarioWare Gold. Probably not gonna get it, but like I'm hoping that enough people will get it so that the Wario brand will, you know, stay alive, and we might actually get some games that are longer than 2 seconds.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could spend we could do a whole podcast episode on Wario because I just have so many thoughts about that. So maybe we can steer back to the Nintendo Direct conversation.
Sushi Striker.
Yeah, Sushi Strikers, guys. Any thoughts?
Seems
Nope.
off the
I
wall
have
enough
nothing.
for me to be interested in it. At first, I was like, what the hell is this? And then as they went on and you saw like the gameplay and sort of all the crazy stuff that was happening, I was like, I could be into this.
Yeah, that's kind of what I would think of it too. Like, if there's a game that I see a glimpse of and I don't know what to think, that actually makes me more interested.
Yeah.
Because if I see a game and it's like, oh, it's another platformer, oh, it's another shoot 'em up, oh, it's another RPG,
Yeah.
then I can just sit there and wait, right?
Yeah.
But if it's a game where I'm like, what the hell is going on here, then I want more.
Yeah. Honorable
I gotta
mention
say,
to No More Heroes, which was also mentioned, and I'm very much looking forward to.
Yes, yeah, No More Heroes, not on my little list here. I forgot about that one.
Yeah.
Looking forward to that one. And there's something else, and I don't even know if this was on the Nintendo Direct. I just happened to find out about it on the same day via another website. And I don't know if it's going to be brought to the West. I really hope it is. But if it's not the end of the world. A new Code of Princess game on the Switch.
Oh.
Did you hear about this one, Arnie?
It's a
No.
it's not new. It's just a remaster.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, my use of the word "new" was
Yeah.
perhaps a little bit,
That's interesting,
overmuch.
though.
But
I
even
actually
still,
wanted to
like
get
the
that,
3DS one was so kind of like
Yeah, it was so
sluggish.
niche. Yeah.
Yeah, like I'm actually really looking forward to seeing what they do with it on the Switch. I mean, if they don't release it in the West, I might even import that one.
Yeah.
But that's
for
actually
sure.
like I wanted to get the 3DS version, but unfortunately it was only released digitally in Europe, and you know I love physical media, so I never actually like ended up
Yeah.
getting it. And of course, as we all know, like the 3DS is in fact region locked, so I couldn't just import it. So I'm most likely gonna get the Switch version.
Yeah, no, it's a great idea. I didn't realize the 3DS was like the unofficial anti-mascot of this podcast.
Indeed.
Well, let me touch on No More Heroes since that was raised briefly. For whatever reason, I just can't get excited for Suda 51 games.
Really?
I don't know. I mean, he kind of
He kinda
tries so
peaked.
hard. You know, he kind of tries so hard to be kind of quirky and cult, and it seems his style of games just seems so juvenile to me. And I don't know. Maybe it's just not. I'm just not in that mind frame at this point in my life.
Yeah.
I tried to play No More Heroes back on the Wii, and you know, I don't know. It just was such a janky game, and I don't know. It seemed very roughly put together. So I'm pretty sure it has an audience. I just can't get excited for it, to be honest. But it's a great thing that they're bringing a sequel back on the Switch.
Yeah.
It's actually not even a sequel. It's more it's actually a collaboration between like I think like Suda51 and then 5 or 6 like indie developers. So that's why like the style is all over the place, because you basically have like these 6 or I don't know how many, but like these completely different like sections of the game. So that actually, and it is not a sequel to the Wii, like the 2 Wii games.
Yeah.
It's more like a spin-off title.
Yeah, the
As
only
a general rule, as a general rule, if I see a game that has 6 or 7 different genres into it, I'm instantly dubious.
Yeah.
The only Suda51 game that I think I've always been intrigued by and I have yet to play it is Shadows of the Damned. The biggest reason why I want to play that is because it's a collaboration with Shinji Mikami and Akira Yamaoka of Silent Hill fame. So, and I think the worst part I see from that game is actually the story, because again, it seems so puerile and juvenile that it just kind of rubs me the wrong way. But there's an audience for that. Whatever. It just, they give video games a bad name, but there's absolutely an audience for that. So when you have a main character called Travis Touchdown or Garcia Hotspur, I just can't help but laugh at that. But I guess that's the whole point of it.
Yeah.
All right, we've got like 3 minutes left.
All right.
Got to talk about Smash Brothers, right, Masa?
Smash.
Yeah, that reveal, like that little teaser, it was interesting in a way that, I mean, right before that they had the Splatoon DLC announcement, and then all of a sudden you have the Inklings again, and I was like, wait, what's going on? Like, why are we getting more Splatoon? But then, like that trailer was amazing.
Am I the only one who thought that trailer was like weirdly dark?
Yeah,
Like
it
as
was,
like
yeah.
Mario's shadowed face sits in like the pale flame of like the giant Smash Brothers logo.
Yeah, I never really thought about it, but you're absolutely right.
It was awesome. Don't get me wrong. And I'm really interested to see how the Inklings get introduced in Smash, because part of me thinks that they're just going to be like individual characters, but part of me is also like, I think it'd be kind of cool if they were like sort of an ice climber situation where you sort of control both of them.
That'd be great.
That'd be interesting, yeah. I don't know. For me, now, you guys may have noticed by now, but I'm the resident curmudgeon here. But I just can't get that excited about Smash Brothers because they all kind of seem to follow the same template, and I really wish that nowadays in my fighting games, I really want more of a story. I think NetherRealm Studios have really kind of spoiled us in that regard, in that they do a really good developed story. Where I feel like Smash Brothers has just gone more and more towards the competitive esports scene, which is fine. I don't mind that, but it just doesn't really call out to me. But I actually use Smash Brothers as a barometer of how well Nintendo's doing in terms of new properties. And for a time, there weren't that many new Smash Brothers fighters because Nintendo wasn't putting out many new properties.
Yeah.
But now to see like the Inklings and the like, it feels like, oh, Nintendo's actually doing something decent. So I wouldn't be surprised if they introduce an ARMS character, which I know Paul you don't
love.
really like.
Yes,
Paul may have
yes.
thoughts about that, but it would be interesting to have like an ARMS character with like the super long extended arms and stuff like that. It would make for a very interesting playstyle. So I think if anything, it's gonna be good because I get to see new Nintendo properties being shown on it. So that's what I think. For me, particularly, Smash Brothers is good for. So.
But I would say like it's I don't really understand. Like I watched a bunch of like reaction videos and people went like absolutely like bonkers over Smash because we know what it's gonna be like.
Yeah.
It's Smash. Like like there's not like, and it might even like we don't, and we barely know anything about the game. Like we don't even know if it's gonna be a based on the Wii U game. Is it gonna be a port? Is it gonna be a brand new game? But even if it's a brand new game, then I mean it's not gonna be like drastically different compared to the previous like the Wii U game. And I'm really hoping. And one thing that disappointed me about the Wii U game is that they dropped the story mode, and I'm really hoping that they would bring it back here.
Yeah. What is the likelihood? Quick question. what is the likelihood that Sonic is gonna be on it?
Oh man, like
He was
80%.
on the last two, right?
Yeah, I think so.
What is the likelihood
Actually-
that Crash Bandicoot is going to be
Yeah,
in
that's
it?
what I
Is
was
That was
about
my
to say.
next question.
Yeah, like Sonic will be in for sure, and Pac-Man. But like now that Crash is coming to Switch, I mean, it's absolutely gonna be in Smash.
Well, I just want Jack and Daxter to be on there. I would love for Jack. If they are on there, I would buy the Smash Brothers for the Switch. I absolutely.
I think you have a
would
better
love-
shot of Ratchet and Clank being on it than Jack and Daxter, to be honest.
Really?
Oh, good point.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. Ratchet and Clank is definitely the more popular property.
Well, I don't know. The movie kind of flopped. So.
Yeah, that's.
But yeah, when
Oh,
was the
dude,
last
come
time
on.
we even got a
What
Jack
video
and
game
Daxter
movie doesn't
game?
flop?
Yeah.
What are the odds that Detective Pikachu is going to be in it, though? Is what I want to know.
Well,
Oh, good point. Alternate costume,
Yeah.
maybe.
With like voice acting for Pikachu, that'd be great.
it would be awesome if one of his special was like throwing his whiskey cup at you or something.
He just burns you with a cigarette.
Yeah, that sounds like Nintendo, right?
Yeah.
All right, so that about wraps it up for this episode. Thanks for listening, everyone. If you enjoyed this podcast, please leave us a review on iTunes or wherever you download your podcasts from. It's really helpful to us. And if you want to find our various ramblings on video games, you can generally do so via Instagram. My handle is 8-bit yarns. Ozzy?
My handle is Shadow of the Collector. There is a period in between all those words. So that's the easiest way to make it.
Masa?
Masa Jarvinen09.
Arnie?
My Instagram handle is welcome to the game. That's the word welcome, the number 2, the game. And you can also find my Patreon for my Switch at patreon.com/give me your money, please.
Yes, yet another worthy cause on Patreon. All right, everyone, thanks again for joining us. And until next time, don't forget, if you're feeling bad about yourself, just remember, Masa didn't know that fractured butthole had 2 meanings until today. Take care, everyone.
See ya.